Hi Kipsters, this is Mrs. Vasquez, and today we're going to read one of my favorite stories together. Now, all you need is just your brain. The title of our story is If You Give a Mouse a Cookie. If you give a mouse a cookie. And I see our author's name, Laura Numeroff, and it was illustrated by Felicia Bond. Today, while we're reading, you will be able to identify key details in the text. And key details are important. They're important pieces of information that help our story make sense. Now, when we're looking for key details, we're going to look for things that repeat. People or characters in our text, places, that's the setting, actions, things that the characters are doing, and things that happen, and ideas. So again, we're going to be able to identify the key details in a text. When we're identifying key details, we use our question words. So we might ask a question about the setting, about the people, about what's happening in our story when we look for important information. Now, our question words, think about them. I want you to think about our W words first. Now, it's my turn. Some of our question words are who, what, where, when, why, and how. These are the words that we'll use when we're asking questions about things that happen in the text. Now, just by reading our illustration, or just by looking at our illustration and reading our title, I already have a question. And I think that that question is going to help us find one of the key details. Now, if you give a mouse a cookie, I see someone on the very front of our cover. I want to know if this is going to be our main character and who they are. So my question is, who is the mouse? I also want to know what happens when you give a mouse a cookie. Those seem like they might be important information. Here's our title page. If you give a mouse a cookie. Now, if you give a mouse a cookie, he's going to ask for a glass of milk. Now, one of my first questions was, what happens when you give a mouse a cookie? Think about it. If you said he's going to ask for a glass of milk, you're right. But I wonder if there are other things that are going to happen. When you give him the milk, and I see our mouse trying to go into, or maybe drink, a bit of milk. He'll probably ask you for a straw. When he's finished, he'll ask for a napkin. Then he'll want to look in the mirror and make sure he doesn't have a milk mustache. Now, I see so many things that have been happening in our text. So when the mouse gets a cookie, he asks for milk. When he gets milk, he wants a straw. Now, he wants to make sure that he doesn't have a mustache. Those are some of the things that happen when you give a mouse a cookie. Now, just by reading our first few pages and looking closely at our illustrations, who do you think the mouse is? When he looks into the mirror, he might notice his hair needs a trim. So he'll probably ask for a pair of nail scissors. When he's finished giving himself a trim, he'll want a broom to sweep up. He'll start sweeping. He might get carried away and sweep every room in the house. Now, do you think the mouse is a strange animal, just like a stranger roaming in the house? Or does it look more like the mouse could be a pet? Think about it. Now, I think that the mouse is probably a pet. Why do you think he's a pet? I've noticed that the boy is feeding the mouse and taking care of him. Now, when we have pets, we feed them and we take care of them. I think if this mouse was not a pet, the boy might be afraid of him. So we know who the mouse is. We don't know his name though, but we know that there's a mouse who's a pet. And what is the pet doing? Think about it. Now, the mouse keeps asking for so many things. When one of our characters, the young boy, gave him a cookie, the mouse asked for milk and a straw and a mirror, and now he's doing silly things like trimming his hair. So we know who the mouse is, what the mouse is doing, and what happens when he gets a cookie. Those are all important details, key details that help our story make sense. He might even end up washing the floors as well. So here's the mouse with a big sponge washing the floors. When he's done, he'll probably want to take a nap. You'll have to fix up a little box for him with a blanket and a pillow. He'll crawl in it, make himself comfortable, and fluff the pillow a few times. What do you think the mouse is going to do now? He'll probably ask you to read him a story. So he didn't go straight to sleep. Each time the mouse gets something, he asks for something new. You'll read him one of your favorite books, and he'll ask to see the pictures. Here's the mouse asking to see the pictures. When he looks at all the pictures, he'll get so excited, he'll want to draw one of his own. He'll ask you for paper and crayons. He'll draw a picture. When he is finished, or when the picture is finished, he'll want to sign his name. Here's the picture of what could be him and his mouse family. With a pen. Then he'll want to hang his picture on your refrigerator, which means he'll need Scotch tape. He'll hang it up and stand back to look at it. Looking at the refrigerator will remind him that that he's thirsty. So he'll ask for a glass of milk. And the chances are, if he asks for a glass of milk, what do you think he's going to ask for now? I think he might ask for a cookie. He's going to want a cookie to go with it. Here's our young boy looking through, his cupboard, some drawers. And he's feeding the mouse a cookie. Now, we read our text, if you give a mouse a cookie. And when we were reading, we stopped to ask questions about who the mouse is, what happens when you give a mouse a cookie, and whether or not the mouse was a pet. Those are all key details in our text. Remember, key details are important pieces of information that help the text make